万不能。
人人那个都说哎，一梦山好，一梦那个山上哎。
Ready? 3, 2, 1, trade!
Okay, I got 58, I got 21.
17? I think I can get rid of that. Yep. Okay.
You'd be done. I think I'm actually ripping myself off. You'd be done. 30. Take this.
Yeah, how about we just do that and then you throw in another 10 grand?
30,000.
Yeah.
So you got a restaurant here.
Pick out.
Just
I don't really want that. You guys want to trade?
Otherwise, I might sell to someone else. Huh?
Yeah.
You want it to.
Okay, what about factory? Maybe I'll go a part of that. Do you have factory?
Sure. Oh, you guys trade already?
Welcome to Chinatown, New York City, 1965. In your goal to become a millionaire, which you know is actually a lot of money back then, you're going to be building your business chains left and right. But you won't have all the pieces to make your businesses the best they can be. So you gotta start trading. And trading. And trading. Let's head into this pure trading frenzy that is Chinatown.
我的螳螂拳，你见识过？螳螂拳只有一型，让你见识见识少林的时间拳。
Arrow, shitty walk, take order, please.
一年多没见，你一点长进都没有。
In Chinatown, the goal is to have the most money when the game ends. In each of the 6 rounds, players will receive these 2 resources, tiles and lots. Lots are numbers displaying where you're allowed to place businesses on the board, and the tiles represent the actual businesses themselves. And see how each of these tiles has a number on it? If you own that many tiles of the same business touching together on the board, you complete a set, which means they generate much more income than normal. In addition, the closer and closer an incomplete set gets to becoming a complete set, the more and more money it will make. You won't always have everything you need to finish your business chains, but good news, you're gonna have something that someone else wants, and maybe they have something that you want. So once everyone has drawn their business lots and tiles for the round, it's trading time. You can trade cash, business tiles, business lots, really anything you want with whoever you want, no restrictions. And just note that everyone's total cash quantities are secret. Once everyone is done trading, they can place their business tiles on any lots they own and get money from their placed businesses before moving to the next round. After the 6th round, you count your cash, and whoever has the most wins.
So let's start with the pros of Chinatown, and it's clear that the components are good. So the board that denotes 1960s New York just feels very Chinatown looking. And by that we mean there's just tons of business lots jammed together in the 6 districts. And you can even see a nice park in the corner. There's also good color distribution with the alternating lot colors, so they'll never blend into one another during gameplay. This is usually a problem for games with massive, dryly colored grids. The nice flavor on top of it all is that there's a zodiac year calendar for the round markers. Each round is a different animal's year. Man, just can't feel more Chinese than that. For the tiles you'll be drawing, there's a very soft black bag. It feels like it's made out of some sort of velvet. And say goodbye to paper money because you got actual cards for your George Washingtons and Abe Lincolns too. The tokens for business ownership are also nice solid plastic. And then there's the tiles that look hilariously bootleg, which really sells the whole Chinatown aesthetic. Plus, they're really easy to distinguish from one another.
When you're bringing out the game, it's also incredibly easy to set up so you can get right down to business. For the board, just whip it out, and all you gotta do is just mark that's the year of the snake. For every player, give them their starting ownership markers, player aids, and 50 grand, then bam, you're all ready to start your own American Chinatown business. So when playing Chinatown, we have to stress how it's incredibly easy to learn. All you do in a turn is you draw cards, then you discard some cards, then you draw tiles, trade, and then put your stuff on the board. That's it. There's no convoluted phases or rules in this straightforward rulebook. It just boils down to getting resources, trading, and then building your businesses. And just get that bread to win, because getting cash is very intuitive, since at the end of every round, you just get paid for business tiles you have on the board. And remember, you're trying to complete sets, so you get bonuses for having businesses of the same type touching on the board. So all newcomers have to do is they look at their player aid, see how much cash they get, and then everything starts to make sense because they look how much money they can get when they complete a set, and they're like, oh, okay, I'm gonna trade for that because I want 4 of that. Okay, I see.
Yeah, yep. Chinatown does a fantastic job of encouraging trading. It's one of those social games where you have to trade to win because completing sets is paramount for big income gains. There's 85 locations with 12 different types of business tiles with different set numbers to complete their chains. Then when you factor in that players get less resources as the game goes on, you'll have to start pestering your friends for deals. This is great, as many business lots will be surrounded by tons of other lots, making it very likely that someone will have something that you need for those adjacency bonuses. What's really key to Chinatown is that there's no restrictions on trading, so make some offers and start dealing. It's gonna quickly sound like this.
Okay, I got 2 seafoods. I just need 1 more seafood. No, I'm not selling them. I want seafood. Cash, I got 63 and 66. Anyone have 64 or 65?
Chinatown is really freeform on gameplay despite being a simple game. So these business tiles that you'll be drawing every turn have so much possibility. For instance, you can choose to trade them away and make some sort of deal. Or you can choose to place them on any lot you own. Just remember that it can never be taken off, so if you want to trade it away, it'll have to be a bundle deal that includes the tile and lot. And lastly, you can just choose to not do anything with the tile and just hold on to it for a future round. Your choices are never overwhelming though, because your decisions are limited to only doing stuff with the tiles and lots you haven't placed.
So this freeform gameplay lends itself into a variety of strategies. First, you can just be really ballsy early on and just trade away everything just for that one type of tile, trying to get that 140,000 bonus for completing a set of 6. Or maybe you don't care that much about owning multiple businesses and instead just focus on selling your resources every turn for cash. Remember, your businesses don't account for any money themselves at the end of the game. It's cash that's king. But wait, there's even more options how you want to do trading. You can make multiplayer deals acting as a mediator between 2 parties to try to get profit. Or just open up an auction for your stuff. How about just jumping in front of someone's face as soon as they begin trading? That way, they won't see any other options. So yeah, physicality is absolutely a huge part of Chinatown. All of the trading is happening in this loud and crazy marketplace where you might have to run to the other side of the table to make an intricate deal. And timing is always a big factor because once the trading phase begins, all the deal offers start flowing at once. So you snooze, you lose.
Another thing that you'll have to take into account while trading is the unpredictability of future draws. See, there's this fun tension of management where a tile you have right now may be worth more or less in a future round. It all depends on what's going to be drawn from the bag and what other businesses others decide to commit to. You're going to deal with questions like, do you hold on to this tile for now because someone might need it in 2 rounds? Or maybe you want to trade it now because you predict its value is going to drop soon. Or, if you play it, what's the chance of someone creating a rival business and competing for these tiles?
And while there's always a set amount of business lots and tiles in the game, players can't really make a true probability-based play since there's 85 lots and 12 different types of tiles. Because of this, there's going to be a fun risk factor to early game trades since you're not sure which squares or business lots will become valuable in the upcoming rounds. But at the same time, this also adds a really fun gambling element where, if you want to, you can go super hard on 1 or 2 types of businesses early and then just assume you'll be able to get to the finishing pieces through draws and trades. By the end of the game, almost all of the tiles and lots will pop up, so you never have to be too concerned about your properties never ever popping up. It's usually the timing of when they show up that's important. Also, there's so many instances of randomness since everyone's drawing from 2 piles of resources every round, so the randomness just kind of tends to even out over the course of a game.
And the gameplay progression over the 6 rounds goes hand in hand with trading tendencies. The districts will fill up over time, where people build businesses to get guaranteed income. What ends up happening here is that by the middle of the game, some of these business chain sets will be completed, giving their owners a good surge of income. And then this is going to panic others to start trading. It's like, oh gosh, that guy's making 140k a turn? Oh geez, what do I have? Yeah, you. Okay, let's make a deal. I know I chickened out earlier, but it's still available, right? Yeah, I can give you stuff. Yeah, it can help out both of us. I got cash.
Now the box says 60 minutes, and we would say that this is about right. This game is really freeform in how you want to approach the trading phase, so this game can easily take over 60 minutes if you got a stubborn or really talkative group. But even if the game takes longer, there's generally not much downtime because when you're not trading, you're surveying other people's resources to devise the next deal. Plus, the replayability is pretty good since the random drawing of resources always leads to different opening hands. Even if for some extremely unlikely reason you get exactly the same resources as before, your opponents won't, so the deals that come up will be different. Lastly, for a game called Chinatown, when we thought about it, the mechanics could be pretty much any immigrant group trying to make it big in a city, but the theme definitely doesn't feel slapped on. The theme of Chinatown has this unique vibe that comes out in the chaotic, claustrophobic trading, and everyone is just trying to reach for your stuff for a bargain. The map is so cramped, like damn, that's a real Chinatown if I ever saw one.
Yep, and the business tiles feel sufficiently sketchy and bootleggy too. The factories are huge businesses. Takeout feels very Chinese. There's a knockoff jewelry store. If a small photo shop or tea shop doesn't scream Chinatown, I'm not sure what does. Yeah, but to be fair, if we were designing this game, we'd probably include something like a gambling den, an opium smoke shop, maybe a massage parlor. But hey, this game is for a family audience.
Hey, can we bring up the money too? Cause this is hilarious. The money denominations, they're kind of correct. They're just off by a multitude of 10,000. It's so funny getting income and grabbing Andrew Jackson and just seeing that bill be worth 200,000. It's just oddly satisfying and bootleg.
Okay, now onto the shady sides of Chinatown, the cons. Now, first of all, this game is just not that good with 3 players. See, in games like these, you want more people to trade with, and for the board to be more vibrant with more people building businesses. With 3 players, there's this weird Mexican standoff dynamic where if you don't trade with one guy, there's only one other option to trade with. This leads to the 3 of you being even more careful about trading because you don't want to help whoever is winning, and then there's not that many options to trade with anyways. The game does scale the amount of tiles and cards you draw to the number of players, but because trading is such a key part of the game, having less outlets to trade just makes part of the trade fun go down the drain. There's something to be said about the chaotic yelling that happens with 5 people, and everyone's just kind of butting in on each other's deals.
So we talked about how in Chinatown, most of the time you can't just math out and calculate every single income possibility for deals. But there are times where you can immediately calculate how much money someone will make, which hampers trading. If you're making a deal mid-game which will complete someone else's 3-sized set, it's very clear that they will be making 50 grand a turn for the next 4 turns. These types of calculations slow down trading, where players may want to sit there with their player aid and derive the expected payout for as many transactions as possible. To fix this, a fun house rule would be to make it so that players can't trade cash in the last 1 or 2 rounds. This would force players to make earlier, stronger deals instead of enabling constant cash trades towards the end for a 100% calculated win. And the last con is that these player rates are super small. Yeah, we talked about how we like the bootlegged quality of this game, but the size 5 font on this aid isn't helping anyone. Plus, they're double-sided, which is a big no-no. This just needs to be bigger, plain and simple.
Now, onto scoring. So here at Shelfside, we calculate things a little bit differently because there's 2 guys running the channel. First, we're going to give you the recommender score, which is how we try to critically evaluate the game given the aforementioned pros and cons. Then the 2 of us are going to give you our personal scores, which is how we feel about the game. Chinatown is going to get a 9 out of 10 from us. It's excellent. When looking for a brief trading game for people to deal and keep making deals, Chinatown excels and is also streamlined to play with anyone.
We really have to stress that Chinatown is a very pure trading game that is super group reliant. People really need to be willing to speak up and offer deals, or else they're not going to get the right businesses and they will lose. Plus, this game is not good with super analytical players who just need everything to be mathed out. This type of approach will lead to the complete opposite of the hustle and bustle of Chinatown, where players will just quietly sit there looking at the tiny player rates that calculate the round-on-round benefits before trading. Chinatown invites players to get their used car salesman to just kinda come out. Like, damn, this bad boy can fit so many stupid trades in it. Really fun deals are gonna come up, with all sorts of silver-tongued techniques to get someone to cave into your deal.
Chinatown is such a social game that it can sometimes feel like a complex party game. You should be talking to everyone throughout the game, constantly scouting out options for what you want as you make compromises and new deals. What's more, 3-way, or sometimes 4 or 5-way, deals can come up in larger playgroups, making the tight map shine as players pool and push for deals where 2 players are fighting over 2 spaces that happen to be in the hands of someone else but need to trade through a middleman in order to offer something valuable. Yeah, well, when in doubt in Chinatown, just keep talking and just keep making deals, because the more you trade in Chinatown, the better you generally do, as long as you aren't making trash deals. And of course, Monopoly is the popular trading comparison that comes to mind, and we have great news. Chinatown is very non-gamer friendly to teach to whatever family that likes to trade. It's going to make a fantastic first impression. Honestly, play Chinatown with your kids instead of Monopoly. They'll learn a whole lot more about trading, where a good deal is going to do a whole lot more for chances of winning than, say, some guy landing on the broke guy's boardwalk 2 times in a row, and now suddenly he has $1,000. Plus, Chinatown is way faster and never overstays its welcome.
In general, Chinatown is so accessible for anyone, and because the winning players don't have much leverage on others, snowballing is never too bad. Plus, politics will come up and that players are not going to want to trade with those who are already ahead. When the trading does begin in rounds of Chinatown, there's a vibrant, energetic atmosphere that oozes the theme of hard-working immigrants. With this orchestra of loud trade discussions where everyone has something to gain, you won't be able to track all of this information. And the constant sales talk is so entertaining to witness. Sure, you have a feeling that some guy with 2 completed businesses has a ton of cash, but you don't know how much money was exactly exchanged in the craze of trading where sometimes it's first come, first serve.
Chinatown doesn't go out of style. It feels like a classic. Wait, is it a classic? Yeah, this game really should be ranked higher.
For my personal score, I'm going to give Chinatown a 8 out of 10. I have a great time with this game. So I absolutely love trading games for utilizing the physicality of board games so well. Chinatown, for instance, is definitely a game I would never want to play with Tabletop Simulator because so much of what makes the game great comes from bartering in person. I'm talking about all the nuances of physical communication, like gestures, pointing to stuff, talking over other people, etc, etc. If everyone's in a Discord call and talking all at once, it becomes a complete shit show and you can't make out what anyone's saying. But in real life, games with a ton of freeform trading become absolutely amazing. So on that note, I really like Chinatown as a trading game. Granted, it's a trading game that I can't play too much of, otherwise it gets a little too stale for me. This is because there's not quite enough depth for my liking, because all you ever trade are just business tiles and property cards. So there's not really enough complexity that can help to muddle up the value of trades. That and the game occupies a perfect medium weight space since it takes about an hour to play, meaning that while it's really easy for me to introduce new players to Chinatown, the staying power it provides isn't enough to play consecutively. And that's something I value a lot for shorter length games. But you know what? All that's totally fine because Chinatown is still quintessential trading that's super fun to play every now and then. It's still my go-to if I feel like yelling at people to give me their shit for an hour. I'm just not down to play Chinatown back to back because there's not enough going on in the game itself to get lost in, though I can still get lost in the frantic trading that happens. All of this I'm bringing up leads me to Sidereal Confluence, which is absolutely my favorite trading game. It's big, fat, and chunky, and has so much crap going on all at once that it's super easy to just lose track of what the hell is even happening. Plus, it can seat way more players and is way more heavier, taking around 3 hours to play. It does Chinatown better than Chinatown, because assuming you have a big player count and a bunch of nerds down to learn Sidereal Confluence, you're going to have even more chaos going on at the table because of more complicated trades and more people who are just nonstop talking. Basically what I'm saying is, Chinatown is great and all, but if I can, I'm playing Sidereal Confluence. Chinatown is just way easier to get going though.
My personal score for Chinatown is going to be a 5 out of 10. Average. Yeah, but let's get this out of the way. I really like this premise. See, I got family relatives in New York who actually did this stuff in the 1960s. So this gets a little real for me. Okay, they didn't look quite like this, but I think this cover is really funny nonetheless. So I was completely head over heels for this game when I first bought it early in my board game journey, but I got burnt out of it really quickly. Over the years, I found that I like trading when it comes up in games rather than the main focus of a game. Let's bring up one of my favorite games, TI4, that yeah, you can and should trade, but it's never all you're doing in the game. Chinatown, being a pure trading game, is where of course trading is basically all you're doing. Chinatown needs two things so I don't get so bored while playing. One, it needs to be shorter. So the thing about Chinatown is that the best deals happen halfway or about 2/3 through the game, and then everything else after that is just people getting money from their businesses and some last minute deals. I like more of a climactic ending to games, and yeah, Chinatown does have the hidden money, but that's not exciting enough for me. So yep, if Chinatown had a round or two shaved off, I would not have a problem with the pacing. 2. I just want more mechanics. I want more cool stuff. Like, there's an awesome theme here that you can do so much with. Give me my group of immigrants excelling at building dim sum restaurants. Or when you build your photoshops, you get to scry off the top of the deck. Or maybe you can spend money to upgrade your businesses because that's kind of how business works. Okay, but all these changes would make Chinatown a completely different, more complicated game, and that's not what Chinatown is trying to be. Chinatown is a pure, streamlined trading game, and for that, I don't see myself getting rid of it anytime soon until I can find something that's this interactive and this simple to play with anyone. As always, shout out to our patrons to making videos like this possible. We got John S, Manuel G, Brian C, Clifford H, Aaron W, Max B, Bora, Jeremy M, C, Mayor Sam, Charlie P, Quentin S, Sam S, Travis R, Alvin Y, Bomb ZK, Ryan D, and Jennifer L. And then, 2 Mad Lads of Cardboard, we got ZL and Jeff L. As always, we got our Patreon link in the description below, and remember to like and subscribe and ring that bell for more Shelfside content. We got our catalog of our recommended games in the description below, so if you want to pick up Chinatown, that might be the place to do it. Anyways, let me know what's your favorite trading game, and of course, I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye.